I'm not going to take up too much of your time on this intro. I'm just going to let the beauty speak for itself. The brand new Aston Martin Vanquish is here. It's very cold, but I thought, why not get out there and show you around this 824 horsepower car in wet and damp and cold conditions. Hi guys, quick one. This video was actually supposed to come out in March. Because of some unforeseen circumstances, it wasn't allowed to come out. It wasn't supposed to come out. However, after watching the video again, I was like, why would I not release this? It's fair that I give you guys the truth about the car and what I feel about the car. And I share this video with you, so I'm uploading it anyway. If I don't get a Valhalla, you know why now. Also, guys, remember to like and subscribe. I've got something really cool coming soon, so stay tuned. Anyway, that's enough of your time. Back to the video. First of all, I want to start by saying Aston Martins are often very beautiful cars. However, I feel like sometimes the spec of them ruin the vibe. A lot of people tend to go for darker blacks and greys. You know, that James Bond association. I think this is a lot more appealing. It allows the car to stand out and it doesn't look too ghastly. It allows you to see the muscular lines on the new bonnet. As you can see, you have many vents over here to vent heat, I guess. You have a larger grille that allows the engine to breathe more. As you may or may not know, Aston Martin retained the 5.2 litre V12 twin turbocharged engine. However, it's been heavily reworked with new conrods, new camshafts, and the top of the engine is basically brand new. It allows the car to produce that massive horsepower figure and 1,000 Newton meters of torque, which is tremendous. Zero hybrid assist, which in 2025 is incredible for a car with such a large engine. As we go around to the side of the car, you have these 21-inch wheels. This is a diamond cut design. I think they look absolutely gorgeous. And this fluorescent green brake caliper, although if I described it to you, you may think it may look hideous, but I think that looks absolutely stunning. You have more vents on the side, the V12 badging, just to remind you that you're in the big one, the big boy. My favorite part of the car, however, is the back. It has been quite controversial, but I think the back of the car is a work of art. It allows the car to really stand out from its junior, the DB12. You have the individual LED lights, similar to the ones on the Valkyrie, that allow it to have its identifiable signature. You also have this, what Aston Martin are calling the shield. A lot of people don't get it. I think it just looks cool. It adds a bit of aggression to the back. I think if it was just plain and simple, it would just look like the DBS from the previous generation. You also have 4 exhausts, titanium on this car, providing a nice and reassuring exhaust note. Alright, so 824 horsepower feels very nervous at this sort of temperature. Also, it's damp. Oh my goodness. This is a bumpy road. I've taken a few cars up here. I thought because of the GT element of this car, it would be able to dial out the bumps a bit better, especially with this long wheelbase, but it seems to be quite bouncy. This is much better. So now I've got the dampers in GT mode, and it just feels nicer at performance speeds. So I think that the individual mode of this car allows you to fine tweak each element of the car. So I've got the dampers in comfort or GT mode, like I said, and everything else is in sport, and it just feels a lot better. So on the subject of the performance, you can see the engine has been pushed back into the car, that 5.2 litre V12. This allows for a weight distribution of 51/49. You can also see a lot of forged carbon fiber. Fun fact, every panel on the car is actually carbon fiber. They focused a lot on lightweighting. However, the car still weighs about 1,777 kg, making it a slightly bit heavier than its competitors, but that can be made up for in power and torque. On the interior, absolutely nothing is carried over from the previous generation, just like on the exterior. Aston Martin have created their own bespoke infotainment system that is very okay, but you don't really need it because all we wanted was Apple CarPlay, and now we have that. You also have a lot of physical touch buttons for your climate control and to control things like lane keep assist, suspension, exhaust, and traction. However, I feel like because I'm on the right-hand side in this car, the infotainment needs to be flipped because everything seems really far away when I'm trying to use it. But other than that, the interior is absolutely stunning. Again, like the exterior, there's a lot of carbon fiber on this car. You have a panoramic glass roof, which is nice. You can get it with carbon fiber, but I think this is way better. As a cruiser, it is very, very good. The Aston Martin, compared to the Ferrari competitor, was always seen as the more usable, the more friendly car. But now, because they're chasing this best in class in terms of performance, it just means that they've dialed everything up, I think, just one notch too high. I would love to see the suspension a bit softer, the dampers a bit more relaxed, just so that when I'm driving on roads like this and when I'm cruising, for example, with my wife in the car, I can still feel that the car's sporty, but she or whoever's in the passenger seat can still feel comfortable. It just feels a lot more darty, which is nice. This tire compound also suits this car and this powertrain very well. But something that doesn't suit this car or the powertrain is the gearbox. Aston Martin, for some reason, have still opted to use the ZF 8-speed gearbox, albeit an uprated version of it in this example. The gearbox is great at doing daily stuff. As soon as you want to switch the car on and do performance stuff, you do get a lot of lag in the shifts. Downshifts feel lazy. They just feel uninspired. The one thing about this car's design that I think I'm struggling with, the proportions of it. On camera, it may just look like a regular Aston Martin. It might look DB11 length. This car is absolutely huge. They've increased the distance between the front wheel and here by 80 millimeters. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is massive. The reason they did that, they wanted a longer front bonnet. And oh my God, is it long? What? The car is larger, however, part of the practicality has been eliminated as they have gotten rid of the rear seats. Speaking of practicality, this is one complaint I have. So when you pop open the trunk, there is no space whatsoever, which I think is quite disappointing, especially because this car's roots or its heritage is in a GT style. But Aston Martin have focused on making it a super GT now. So they've eliminated some practicality for fun. Now that I've got my individual mode set up, so I've got suspension in comfort, steering in comfort, engine in Sport Plus, I am going to really see what this car is like when you push it on some country roads. I'm very familiar with these roads. I've pushed many cars on here. So I like to think that I have a good knowledge of what makes a car perform well. Oh my God. This is a lot of power for this weather. Direction changes, weight transfer, everything still feels very good in this car. The brakes, very switched on. Everything is just dialed in perfectly. And I think once you put the suspension in that GT setting, it just makes the car make a lot more sense, especially with its weight. It just feels a lot more compliant. This car really shows that Aston Martin is focused on the super parts of the Super GT, or the Super Grand Tourer as they're calling it. It just feels like it does exactly what you expect it to do. Comfort when you want comfort and performance when you want performance. However, that is reflected in the price. So the Vanquish retails at 333,000 Great British pounds. That is a lot. You can get many a car for that price. However, this current car that I'm sitting in costs a whopping 400,000+ Great British pounds. It's just so gorgeous. Like, I can forgive it for all its issues. It's slightly too bumpy. The interior is good, but it feels cramped for a car this size. But I don't care, because the car just looks stunning. And you know what? Compared to a lot of the other cars I've driven, it drives exceptionally well. The only issues I have, again, slightly too bumpy, but I don't know. I'm not even an Aston Martin guy, or at least I wasn't, but now, this car has just made me want one. Like, if I was going to cross Europe, this would be the perfect car. If I was going on a restaurant date with my wife, this would be the perfect car. So, as you guys can see, I actually really like the car. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. My few complaints were that it was slightly too bumpy, but that's neither here or there. And I wish there was more space on the interior. Other than that, I think the Vanquish is a great car. Like, I'd give it a solid, like, 8 out of 10. 7.5 maybe? I think it's great. I didn't get it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. One more thing. It needs an exhaust. This is the titanium exhaust version of the car. It needs an exhaust to let that engine breathe, let it make some noise. Restrictions have just dumbed it down a bit. But other than that, I love it.